If walls could talk, the ones inside Westminster Abbey would tell 1,000 stories. Standing proudly in the heart of London for nearly a millennium, the Abbey is not just a church, it's a living monument to British history. Step inside, and you step into a world where kings and queens have been crowned, where poets, scientists, and monarchs lie side by side, and where the echoes of the past feel astonishingly close. The story begins all the way back in the 1040s, during the reign of King Edward the Confessor. He was a deeply religious man and vowed to build a grand church dedicated to St. Peter. At the time, the area was little more than a marshy island on the River Thames, known as Thorney Island. It was a secluded spot, home to a small community of Benedictine monks. Edward chose this quiet place for his new royal church, and construction began around 1045. The first version of Westminster Abbey was completed and consecrated on December 28, 1065, just a week before Edward died. He was buried in the church he built, and his tomb would later become a pilgrimage site. Edward was canonised in 1161, and his remains were moved to a grander shrine in the abbey, still there to this day, behind the high altar. But the building you see today is not Edward's original. The present structure was begun in 1245 by Henry III, who had a vision of creating an awe-inspiring Gothic church to rival the great cathedrals of Europe. He wanted it to serve as his burial place and as a fitting setting for royal ceremonies. What followed was a massive reconstruction project. Over decades, and really over centuries, Westminster Abbey was transformed into the architectural masterpiece it is now. It has the highest Gothic vault in England, reaching 102 feet. Its delicate stonework, stunning stained glass windows, and intricate carvings are some of the finest in the world. From the moment of its consecration, Westminster Abbey became inseparably linked with the monarchy. In 1066, just after the Norman conquest, William the Conqueror was crowned here on Christmas Day. Since then, every English and later British monarch has been crowned in Westminster Abbey, more than 1,000 years of royal coronations under one roof. At the heart of the coronation ceremony is the ancient coronation chair, built for Edward I in 1300. Monarchs have sat on it ever since, including Queen Elizabeth II in 1953 and King Charles III in 2023. But the Abbey is more than a royal stage. It's also a burial ground, and one of the most extraordinary in the world. Over 3,300 people are buried or commemorated here, including 17 monarchs. Among the royal tombs, you'll find Henry VII and his wife Elizabeth of York, whose marriage united the warring houses of Lancaster and York and began the Tudor dynasty. Elizabeth I lies in the Abbey too, ironically in the same tomb as her half-sister Mary I, despite their deep political and religious rivalry in life. Beyond royalty, the Abbey is the resting place of giants in literature, science, and politics. In Poets' Corner, you can visit the graves or memorials of William Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, Geoffrey Chaucer, Rudyard Kipling, and Jane Austen, just to name a few. Some are buried here, others are honoured with plaques and statues. Walking through Poets' Corner is like walking through the pages of English literature. Not far from there lies Sir Isaac Newton, whose laws of motion shaped modern physics, and Charles Darwin, whose theory of evolution revolutionized biology. More recently, the ashes of Stephen Hawking were interred in the Abbey between Newton and Darwin, a symbolic gesture placing one of the greatest modern minds among his scientific forebears. One of the most moving parts of the Abbey is the tomb of the unknown warrior. Laid to rest in 1920, this anonymous British soldier from World War I represents the countless soldiers who never returned home. His grave, filled with soil from France and covered by a simple black marble stone, is the only one in the Abbey that no one may walk over. Even Queen Elizabeth, during her wedding in 1947, placed her bouquet there in tribute, a tradition now followed by many royal brides. Despite its ancient roots, Westminster Abbey remains very much alive. It's still a working church, holding daily services, major state occasions, and national celebrations. In 2011, the world watched as Prince William and Catherine Middleton were married here. It was also here that Queen Elizabeth II's funeral service was held in 2022, bringing the country together in mourning and remembrance.